What if the weather outside your window is no longer following the old rules? Scientists around the world are watching something strange happen. Storms are getting stronger. Heat is breaking records that have stood for decades. And in places that never used to flood, water is rising fast. Something is shifting. And the people who study our planet for a living are worried. This is not science fiction. This is happening right now, in real time, all over the Earth. Stick with this video until the end. Because by the time it's over, you will understand something most people don't. You will understand why your weather app keeps surprising you. You will understand why farmers are confused. And you will understand why some scientists are using a word they rarely use in public. Let's find out why. For most of human history, weather was something people could predict, at least a little. Farmers knew when the rains would come. Sailors knew when storm season began. Grandparents could tell you what winter used to feel like when they were young. That kind of predictability shaped how humans built cities, planted crops, and planned their entire lives. But that world is changing, not slowly, not quietly. It is changing in ways that scientists can measure, track, and prove. To understand what's happening, you have to go back to something simple. The Earth has a thin layer of gases around it called the atmosphere. This layer traps heat from the sun like a blanket wrapped around the whole planet. Without that blanket, Earth would be frozen and lifeless. With the right amount of blanket, Earth stays warm enough for life to thrive. But here's the problem. For over a century, humans have been burning huge amounts of coal, oil, and gas. This releases gases like carbon dioxide into the air. Now, those gases make the blanket thicker. A thicker blanket means more heat gets trapped. More heat trapped means the planet slowly warms up. This isn't a theory from one scientist in one lab. It is confirmed by thousands of studies collected over decades, from ice cores in Antarctica to satellites orbiting far above our heads. But here's what most people don't realize. The danger isn't just that the planet is getting warmer. The real danger is what that extra heat does to the weather itself, and that's where things start to get intense. Picture the atmosphere like a giant engine. Heat is the fuel. The more fuel you add, the more powerful and unpredictable that engine becomes. For years, scientists warned this would eventually cause problems. Now, many of them say that future has already arrived. But that wasn't the biggest surprise. The biggest surprise is how fast it's happening. In recent years, weather stations across the globe have recorded temperatures that broke records not by small amounts, but by huge margins. Entire regions have baked under heat that pushed human bodies, animals, and power grids to their limits. Cities that were built for mild summers suddenly faced heat they were never designed to handle. Roads have cracked. Power lines have failed. Hospitals have filled with people suffering from heat-related illness. And it's not just heat. Warmer air holds more moisture. That means when storms form, they can carry more rain than storms used to carry. Rivers that used to handle heavy rain without trouble are now overflowing in hours instead of days. Flooding events that used to happen once every 100 years are now happening much more often in some regions. Then there's the ocean. Oceans absorb a massive amount of the extra heat trapped by our atmosphere. Warmer ocean water acts like fuel for tropical storms and hurricanes. It can help storms grow stronger, faster, and more destructive than they used to be. Scientists have observed storms intensifying at rates that surprised even experienced forecasters. A storm that looked mild in the morning has, in some cases, become a major dangerous storm by nightfall. That kind of rapid change makes storms harder to prepare for. Warnings that used to give people days to evacuate now sometimes give them only hours. But here's where the story gets even more complicated. While some parts of the world are drowning in extreme rain, other parts are drying out completely. Warmer temperatures increase evaporation. That pulls moisture out of soil, lakes, and rivers faster than before. Regions that already struggled with dry conditions are now facing longer, harsher droughts. Farmers who have grown crops the same way for generations are watching their fields fail. Water sources that communities depended on for decades are shrinking. This isn't happening in just one country. It's happening on multiple continents, in different climates, under different governments, all at the same time. That pattern is what worries scientists the most. When strange weather happens in one place, it could be random. But when the same warning signs appear across the entire planet at the same time, in different forms, That's not randomness. That's a system responding to a change. And the system is our climate. Then investigators uncovered something nobody expected. It wasn't just the extreme events themselves, it was how connected they were to each other. Scientists began noticing that events which seemed unrelated were actually linked through the same root cause. A heat wave in one region could dry out soil so much that it changed rainfall patterns thousands of miles away. A shift in ocean temperature could alter wind patterns that control storm paths on the other side of the world. Earth's weather systems are all connected, like pieces of one giant puzzle.
What?
Push on one part, and the effects ripple outward in ways that are incredibly hard to predict. This is part of why some scientists describe our weather as entering a new phase. It's not just that individual events are getting stronger, it's that the entire system is behaving differently than it did in the past. Old weather patterns that scientists used to rely on for forecasting are shifting. Jet streams, the fast-moving rivers of air high above us that guide storms and temperature patterns, appear to be behaving in ways researchers are still working to fully understand. Some studies suggest a warmer Arctic may be weakening or altering the jet stream, which could allow weather patterns to become more stuck in one place for longer periods. That could mean longer heat waves, longer droughts, and longer stretches of heavy rain in certain regions. This research is still developing, and scientists are careful to say not everything is fully confirmed yet. But the early signs are enough to cause serious concern. Here's what is confirmed, according to major scientific organizations that track global climate data. Global average temperatures have risen significantly since the late 1800s, when humans began burning fossil fuels on a massive scale. The last several years rank among the hottest ever recorded, based on consistent, verified data from multiple independent scientific agencies. Sea levels are rising, driven by melting ice and warming oceans that expand as they heat up. Extreme weather events, including heat waves, heavy rainfall, and powerful storms, have increased in frequency and intensity in many parts of the world. These are not fringe opinions. They come from major scientific bodies, including national weather agencies and international climate research organizations, that gather data from thousands of sources across the globe. But what remains uncertain is exactly how fast things will change next, and exactly how severe future events will be.
Ow.
Climate systems are complex. Scientists use powerful models to make predictions, but predicting an entire planet's weather system is one of the hardest scientific challenges that exists. That uncertainty is not comforting. In some ways, it's even more unsettling, because it means the full picture is still unfolding. What happened next changed everything. As more extreme events piled up around the world, governments, scientists, and everyday people started paying closer attention. This wasn't a distant future problem anymore. It was showing up in real communities, real harvests, real homes. Insurance companies began adjusting how they calculate risk, because homes in certain areas were facing flood or fire danger more often than historical records predicted. Farmers began changing which crops they planted, trying to adapt to shifting rain patterns. City planners began redesigning drainage systems built for a climate that no longer matched reality. Entire industries have had to rethink their long-term plans because the assumptions they used to rely on are no longer safe to use. At the same time, scientists intensified their efforts to understand what's coming next. Massive research projects, some involving satellites, deep ocean sensors, and supercomputers, are working to track changes as they happen and to model what future decades might look like. This has become one of the largest scientific efforts in human history, involving researchers across nearly every country on Earth. And through all of this research, one theme keeps repeating. The window to prevent the most extreme outcomes is narrowing, but it has not closed. Many climate scientists stress that humans still have significant influence over how severe future changes become. Every fraction of a degree the planet warms matters. Choices made in the next decade about energy, infrastructure, and preparation could shape how difficult the following decades become. This is not a story where the ending has already been written, but the urgency is real, and it is growing. So what does all of this mean for people watching this video right now in their own homes? This means learning to prepare, not panic. Communities in vulnerable areas are already adapting. Some cities are building stronger flood defenses. Others are creating cooling centers to protect people during dangerous heat waves. Farmers are experimenting with crops that can handle drier soil. Engineers are designing buildings that can survive stronger storms. None of this guarantees a perfect future, but it shows that humans are capable of responding, adjusting, and building resilience, even in the face of a challenge this large. There is also a bigger global effort underway. Countries have been working, sometimes slowly and imperfectly, toward reducing the emissions that trap extra heat in our atmosphere. Renewable energy sources like solar and wind power are expanding faster than many experts predicted just a decade ago. Technology that seemed experimental a few years ago is now becoming mainstream. That shift alone offers a real reason for hope, even amid genuine concern. The truth is even more complicated than a simple warning. This isn't a story about the end of the world. It's a story about a turning point. Every generation faces challenges that test how well humans can adapt, cooperate, and innovate. This generation's challenge involves understanding and responding to a planet that is changing faster than it has in a very long time. Scientists aren't just sounding an alarm because they want to scare people. They're sounding an alarm because they believe the choices made now will shape the world for decades, maybe even centuries to come. That's a heavy responsibility. But it's also an opportunity. Because unlike some crises in history, this one comes with warning, with data, and with time, even if that time is limited, to make meaningful choices. So let's go back to the question we started with. Is Earth's weather really entering a dangerous new phase? Based on what scientists have observed, the honest answer is yes. In many ways, it already has. Temperatures are rising. Extreme weather events are becoming more frequent and in many cases more intense. Old patterns that once helped predict the weather are shifting in ways researchers are still working to fully understand. But here's the other side of that answer. Humans are not powerless in this story. Scientists, engineers, farmers, city planners, and everyday people are already adapting, innovating, and searching for solutions. The story of our changing climate is still being written, and every one of us, in some way, is part of writing it. What we do next, individually and collectively, will help determine how the next chapters unfold. That's the real story behind the headlines. Not just danger, but decision. Not just warning, but the chance to respond. If this video helped you understand what's really happening with our planet's weather, make sure to like this video and subscribe for more deep dives into the biggest stories shaping our world. And let me know in the comments, what changes have you noticed in the weather where you live? Your answer might surprise other people watching this video too. Thanks for watching until the end. The story of our planet is still unfolding, and it's one worth paying attention to.